will now go on to our next speaker, which is Candace Gaddy. Candace, hang on, let me get into gallery. Candace, look, oh, the lady in red speaks. So we are no longer doing bios like we did last time when you were here. So I am going to allow you to tell us all about yourself and whatever else you want to tell us about authentic leadership. Candace, take it away.
Well, I am super duper excited to be here. A great honor. Marianne, amazing, of course. Very, very makes sense for you to be focused on authentic leadership. You are one of the most authentic people that I know. But I will say, Marianne, I don't know what you were thinking. You putting me behind Jose. But we're going to make it work today. I've been on all morning, and this has been an amazing summit. I had to scratch half the things that I was going to say just because all of us are kind of in the same vein when it comes to authentic leadership. So I made a decision after I was listening this morning that I'm really going to freestyle and be an authentic leader during the summit today. I had a complete meltdown on yesterday. Anytime you're thinking about authentic leadership, the word that I want you guys to take away today is journey. It's absolutely a journey, but I want you to really focus on the fact that this is a personalized journey just for you. So you have to think about, what does this mean for me? What actions am I making that represent me? When I had my meltdown on yesterday, when I think of authentic leadership, this morning we talked a lot about business owners, and we'll continue to talk about that this afternoon. But I'm also a mom of two boys, Logan and Miles. Logan's my oldest, 8. Miles is my youngest, 6. And they cannot be more different. So as an authentic leader and a business owner, also for me, it is the hat of mom, wife, sister, friend, and all the other hats that as women that we wear, leader at my church, leader in my community. We wear so many hats as leaders, right? How do you balance all of these hats, right? So my meltdown that I had on yesterday was, I am a mother, but I'm also an entrepreneur. How do I cut my hours back and still make sure that I have time to do homework with my son that's 8? So last time when I spoke, I talked a lot about my health issues that happened to me. And when I had my stroke and brain hemorrhage in 2018, that was right after I had my youngest son. So because of that, I unfortunately was not able to focus on my oldest son as much as I needed to, who was only under 2 at the time. And so now I still have a little bit of regret because I wasn't able to give him the focus that he needed. And so I had a meltdown on yesterday of, what does this mean? How can I fix this for him? And am I actually a good mom? But I had to go back and think about my story. And we've talked about this a lot today, guys. When you think about being an authentic leader, the first thing that you have to think about is, again, it being personalized, that this is your specific story. And I had to think back to the times of when I've been at these hurdles before. What have I done? How have I overcome? Remind myself of my wins. It's not going to always be a winning season, guys. And when you're not in that winning season, you have to remind yourselves of when you hit those hurdles and those valleys before and how you overcame them. So I had to do a lot of focusing on that on yesterday. And I recommend highly that all of you today take the time to really focus on, what is your story? Who do you represent? How are you planning to get there? Now, when we think about authenticity, I often think of, why do people choose not to be authentic, right? Because we all have our own DNA, right? We're all uniquely made. As a Christian, I believe in God's image. So why do we refer away from that and choose to be unauthentic? One of the things that I thought of as I was thinking about that is, people want things that are quick. They want things that are easy. And because of social media and the times that we're living in today, everyone just wants to be like someone else. They want to copy paste, right? So you have to choose in this day and age to say that social media will not define me. Even growing up, don't allow your parents, don't allow your village to define you. You are uniquely made as you. So how are you going to go out and be the best you that you were created to be? So the way to be able to do that, the first step that we want to talk about is knowing yourself. And a couple of people have spoken about that today. I think Jose spoke about it a few minutes ago. So when I first wrote my first book a couple of years ago, after my brain trauma that happened to me, and God gave me the unction to write this book, I'm like, okay, I'm going to write this about what happened to me. And God told me, no. You're going to write this back all the way to when you started this journey, my story, right? So I took it from childhood all the way up to my craniotomy. And the reason that that wasn't so important, guys, is because that first word that I told you, this is a life journey. So how are you going to customize this and execute this DNA, this fingerprint that God has given you to execute what your unique purpose is? You can only do that if you are authentic to yourself. I can never be Jose, and God forbid, I definitely can never be Marianne. So I have to be who God has called Candice to be. And so I choose to do that every day by focusing on the gifts that he's given me and the experiences that he has given me as well. So when I was at an event not long ago, I was speaking to one of the speakers there, and she was talking about how you never find the word balance in your career. And for me, it's hard because we were just talking about juggling all these different hats as a woman, as a mom, as a wife, as an entrepreneur. And I learned very quickly, she said, Candace, you don't need to find your balance, you need to find your rhythm. So I challenge each and every one of you to find your unique rhythm. Everyone's dance is different. No one's dance is the same. I talked about my two boys, Logan and Miles. They cannot be more different, I told you earlier, but definitely when it comes to their dancing. Logan is absolutely going to do his flips and splits, and Miles is going to do his 1-2 step and his moonwalk, and he's going to rock back and forth. Totally different dances. If I want to dance with a partner, it's absolutely going to be with Miles. If I want to just flip and have a good time and turn the music up, it's going to be with Logan. And that is totally fine because we're both made uniquely different, right? Find the rhythm that works for you. How are you going to learn to prioritize within that? So it's not necessarily the balance, but how do I find the rhythm and the prioritization within my day, right? So this week it might be, hey, my summit's coming up. I need to prep for my summit. Next week, it could be my son has a soccer game, and that's going to be the priority for that particular week. So it's not to say that one thing is more important than the other, but being authentic to what's important to me. So although that particular item may be more important to someone else on my prioritization list, because I'm being authentic to me and my family and what's important to me, I have to prioritize that accordingly. So definitely make sure that as you're going throughout this life journey and looking at your success story, that you're absolutely prioritizing what's most important to you and making that customized for you. And also give yourself a little grace, guys. Everything's not going to go perfect. So when I had my meltdown on yesterday, I had to quickly realize, Candace, it's just one of those days. Too much stuff is on your plate. Your son is more needy today than he was yesterday or than he was an hour ago. And you have to be able to be agile with yourself. We have these terms that we often use in business. And it's ironic to me because we have so much grace when it comes to who we're serving, but do we have that same level of grace with ourselves, right? So I had to give myself that same level of grace to say, you know what, Candace, the same grace that you give people in the community, in the church, that client that you're working with, do you give that to yourself? Do you give that to your home? So flipping the switch on yourself to be authentic, as Jose said, in every area that you are in, not just in the pulpit, not just when you're in the boardroom. Am I being authentic to me everywhere that I go? So just making sure that you're doing that and acknowledging, hey, I made this mistake. Am I falling fast and getting up fast, right? Fall forward, as many often say. So make sure that you're focusing on that and realizing that, yeah, this may have happened. But as I talk about oftentimes with my health issues, yeah, I've had a craniotomy and a stroke and a brain hemorrhage and diagnosed with epilepsy. But those are things that have happened to me. But guess what? They do not define who I am. So acknowledging who you are and deciding that, you know what? Yeah, I'm writing this story, this book. But guess what? I can turn the chapter, turn the page. And today is a new day. It's a new hour. I am choosing to focus on something else, and I'm choosing to be positive in this new era. Also, make sure as you're going through these phases, guys, I know as I look back on my career, oftentimes you can get self-consumed. So when I look back at my career, I had a very, very blessed career. I majored in finance and marketing, worked with some major Fortune 100 companies, global executive positions. And then everything switched in 2018 when I had that stroke and the brain hemorrhage. And I had led major organizations before, but I will tell you hands down, there is no job, in my personal opinion, that deserves more credit than being an entrepreneur. You having that ability to say, hey, every week, every month, whatever it is, how often you get paid, that I know this check is going to cash, is totally different than waking up every day and being on your grind. Your leadership is totally different. And realizing that it takes a team. We all see that on different jobs. We know that it takes a team, but do you actually exercise that? I always told people when I was leading teams globally that, you know what? My job is to make my boss's job easier. And it's also my job to make sure my team has the tools that they need to be able to execute their job. So we all work together. So if you go back to the Lion King, I think there's a new Mufasa that's coming out. I'm so excited to take my boys to it on the 20th. It's all about the circle of life, right? The circle of life, it all goes together. So how do we connect the dots and make it work together? But at the same time, guys, even though you may have a major skill set that separates you from someone else when we talk about being authentic, you got to remain humble, right? That is not saying that you minimize your value of what you have, but just understanding that it's not all about you. It is about that teamwork that we just talked about. And how do you do that? And how are you able to leverage that for others? Is by learning how to listen authentically. Oftentimes people listen to speak versus listening to hear, right? And oftentimes, if you're very strategic, we get caught up in that easily because we're trying to plan our next step, our next response, right? But am I listening to actually hear you? As a business consultant myself, I took my finance background when I started my consulting business and said, how can I serve other businesses? It is not just about the money, which we want to get them to the profit. But for me, my whole motto in life in general is how do we maximize time over money? Because you can get some more money, guys, but you can't get any more time. So I applaud all of you for taking the time to invest in yourself today. Now, with that, and when we talk about doing that, I realized very quickly I have to figure out how to be the bridge for that specific client, right? And I have to hear very clearly what they're doing well and what they're not doing well, right? So that I can get them to the next level. Anything that we're doing in life, we're trying to be that bridge. That's a major part of this journey that we're on, is how do I gracefully be that bridge that someone else needs? So all the things that you go through, all the things that I've been through, these are just testimonials because it's not for you. This life journey is about someone else. And I think pretty much everyone that's spoken today at this summit in one way, shape, or another has said the exact same thing. It's not about you, it's about someone else. So how do we do that? We do that by actively listening and being able to pull out the best in the other person, but also showcasing vulnerably the places that maybe you have fallen, but showing them, hey, I fell here, but I got back up. And as Jose was just saying a second ago, how do you get back up and get them to a place where they don't have to fall in the same pitfalls that you fell in? How to jump over that hurdle a little bit easier than you jumped over it. So again, we're all flowing together in this circle of life. And then you want to make sure that you're being conscious of how you're making people feel. Even though it's authentic to you, everything that's authentic to you, maybe in the way that you speak, in the way that you dance, in the way that you move, may not be authentic to someone else. So realizing that everyone is unique and everyone should be operating in their own unique, authentic self. And so because of that, everyone's response is not going to be the same. So again, giving them a little bit of that grace and making sure that as you're giving them that grace, you're also giving not only yourself the grace, but giving them the opportunity to be uniquely who they are as well, and listening to them along the journey. Now, as you're listening to them along this journey, you also want to make sure that you're building them up. How do I build them up? Now, you build them up by not only hearing what you know that they need to do better, but also doing it in an effective way. Now, how do you do this effectively? There are so many different tools out there that people have out there that they use, right? And technology is out here to help you with it as well. But are you doing it in a way that relates to them, right? So remember, I just told you about my two boys that are absolutely different. So when I'm speaking to Logan, I may say one thing. When I'm speaking to Miles, I may say a totally different things, right? So, and remember, and it's just ironic to me because we can go all the way back to our childhood, right? Our parent can tell us a thing 1,000 times, right? And the same thing that your parent told you, your friend's mother can tell you the same thing and you will hear it totally different. Or your friend can tell you that and you hear it totally different, right? How does it relate to me? Do they understand what I'm speaking? Are we speaking the same language? So you definitely have to make it relatable as a leader because your style and how you go about it may be different than theirs. So that's that connection again that Cedric was talking about earlier today. So how do we communicate effectively in a way that we're actually making that genuine connection with them? So while still being authentic to yourself. And I know that, guys, it is a bit of work. So it's an exercise. We're working on it daily. So that's why I keep going back to that initial word. This is a journey. This is not one thing that we're one and done. Give yourself that grace every day to be better at it. Now, as you continually to listen effectively, you also want to be intentional that you never give up on yourself or what you're doing. Now, I started off with my finance degree, and finance has always been my focus. And so I have my consulting business, but what I really, really love, guys, is people, especially after what has happened to me. I am absolutely on this mission of maximizing time over money. And I share my story every chance that I get because life is precious and every moment is precious to you. And I want to make sure that we're sharing that story so that people are intentional with their time, with their money, with their resources, and trying to maximize and make the most of it. So as we go through this journey, guys, I want to make sure that you understand that this bad chapter, it doesn't define you. Again, we're just going to turn the page. And I think earlier today, Chris was talking about recipes. Again, like I said, a lot of the things that I was going to talk about is redundant, but I think he was making a roast earlier. This recipe is important. I'm going to bake a cake instead, okay? Because to me, it's more delectable, and my children would enjoy that much better than the roast. So I make more cakes than I make roast. And so when you're making a cake, right? You have all these ingredients that go into this cake, right? You got your butter, you got your flour, but I guarantee you if someone handed you a stick of butter or handed you a cup of flour, you're not just going to take that by itself and want to eat it. But when you put all of those ingredients together, guys, and you decide to put that in this heated oven, right? That's on fire. then you get this beautiful cake that you can release if you did the process correctly and you actually grease the pan to easily release it, right? So there's all these steps that we have to take to make sure that we are effectively getting ourselves to that end point, but we have to follow the process and the recipe. And that's why a lot of people are not able to be authentic, because they want to take shortcuts and get the easy route versus doing what should be authentic for them, as well as following the process for them. So if you put all of that together, all of these experiences, guys, that make you authentically who you are, and you go through that fire, that's how you get that beautiful result of that beautiful cake that you're looking for. And make sure that you're always choosing to be the victor versus the victim, which we go through a lot of things and a lot of people choose to be the victim. Now, how can we turn that pain into passion? And so that's what I'm on a mission to do, is really focusing on turning that pain into passion. And so I do a lot of speaking, not only about my story, but also just financially how to make people more sound. And in a parallel to that, I make sure that I am showing people by example. That's another thing, guys. And Jose spoke a lot about this in his last session, is that we often tell people what it takes, but are we practicing what we preach, right? So are we living it out, right? And for me, I get a mirror every single day. If you don't have kids, if you're not married, I promise you it's the best mirror you're ever going to find, because they're the people that live with you. So yeah, I'm in the community, I'm in the church, and I tell them what it means and what it sounds like. But when you get home, your child or your husband, eventually they're going to let you know if you're doing what you said that you are doing. And that's the best way too, even if you're leading a team of people, a community, whatever it is you're instructing them to do, guys, the best teachers, Jose said a minute ago, really is life experience. And they see it best by the person that's leading them. So you have to lead by example. So just ensure that everything that you're doing, guys, is showcasing your authenticity. And the more you do that, the practice makes perfect. You will find yourself at your end goal sooner than later. And just making sure, again, guys, that you're maximizing all of those moments, okay? Again, you don't get another chance at this. I tell people all the time, people say, you know, you get one life. But I tell them, in lieu of that, instead of saying you get one life, guess what? I get a new day tomorrow. So even though my birthday comes every year, my birthday comes, and now after everything that's happened to me, guys, my birthday comes every day. Every day that I get to wake up is another opportunity for me to do something better than I did it before. So choose to be your authentic self every single day, and make sure that other people are seeing the authenticity within you as well. So that's what I really had. I really wanted to focus on the journey, guys. I know that it's not an easy ride for any of us, especially if you're in the entrepreneurial lane. It's a very hard ride, and trying to balance that with everything else. But I promise you, if you stay in the vein of being you, because guess what the positive side of that is? Nobody can be better than you. So I am my biggest competition. So if I'm out here being the best me, nobody can beat me. I am Candace Gaddy. No one can replicate Candace Gaddy in this fingerprint, in this hair follicle that I have in my head. So you choose to be the best you every day, and you will be the true authentic leader that you are called to be. So that's what I had today, Mary Ann. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I just couldn't unmute because, technology has to hit in.
Mhm.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. That was so powerful. Did y'all get that? You're all unique. You're not her, I'm not her, you're not me, I'm not you, etc., etc. Go ahead. You have permission. Finally. Finally, for those seeking permission, you have permission. It's funny because I'm so excited. When I signed up for Jose's event, I'm like, what do I want to talk about? And it's about leadership. For that, I'm hosting an authentic leadership. So I too am listening to everything, and I'm going, oh my God, I have that. All of that is already in my speech. I love it.
How you feel, Reverend Dr. Marianne, is exactly how I've been feeling all day long. Everybody's saying the same thing. And that's how you know you have an amazing panel of speakers today, Reverend Dr. Marianne, is because all of us are in the same vein of what an authentic leader should absolutely be.
That's right. We're all on the same page. This is what it is. Basically go out, drop all the crap, and just go move forward. Like, let's just be ourselves. I mean, this is why we became entrepreneurs, right?
Absolutely. But you know what? The hard part is that people don't want to fail, right? And that's a part of being authentic to yourself, is realizing that, you know what, I might fall. but I get up better authentically, and I choose to be better than I was when I fell down, and I learn from it. And then more importantly, I share that golden nugget of why I stumbled with someone else so they don't do the same thing.
Well, we're gonna fail, like the perfect. Like unless you're opening up a business for the, I don't know, 10th time. And then I want to know, what did you do the other 10 times? Did you shut it
Right.
down? Because if you sold it, I want to hear how you got there. But
Right.
like it's just, it's perfect, right? That's amazing. Yeah, you've been through some stuff, right?
Mhm.
You look beautiful. You feel beautiful. You're doing a great job.
I do. I need that pendant though, so I put it in this Slack. I mean, in the message. I don't know if you guys saw it, but you said it's not available right now, right?
Right now, it is not available. I don't, we'll ask Nikki, see if she's got one. She's in the US. It'll be a lot easier. Let's see if, when she comes back on, I'll ask her, and I'll ask her after if she's got an extra one that she wants to sell. If not, I'll go look into mine because most of mine, I did buy a couple extra. Mine were all spoken for with my clients and with my girls underneath because it was a mad rush. Like you had to have seen this. This was like literally all of them sold out in like 25 minutes. Oh, you do have one, Nikki? Okay, so Nikki, I'm gonna connect you guys, okay?
Yeah, Nikki and I already chat, but I'll DM her on Facebook when we're done here.
You go. There
You're
you go.
being amazing, Marianne. Thank you so much for the opportunity and this platform and allowing us to speak so freely. And I mean, this was literally just food for my soul because after the meltdown I had yesterday, I literally was like, you know what? I'm talking to myself. And if I need to hear it, I'm sure somebody else probably needs to hear it too. And that's what an authentic leader does.
Oh, for sure. And thank you so much for sharing. And I too had a meltdown. Not that that's going to make you feel any better, but I had a meltdown for another reason. And yeah, it was just to do with a book, very not, nothing personal. But
Mhm.
yeah, it was just, I'm like, I've been doing this for how many years? Why are you doing this? Like, some platforms really finicky, and I'm not going to name them, even though they're the largest platform for books, but
Mhm.
that's all I'm going to say. But yeah, they did some nasty stuff, and it's like, gosh, you're messing with my life here. Like, this is what I do for a living. What do you like? Why are you doing this? Like, it's so crazy. And you know what? Again, Mercury coming out of retrograde. So the planets are doing some funky stuff. The Schumann resonance, which I wish I had the measuring thing for it, is just like it's like this. So I find that this helps. I think this will help you as well.
Yes, I look forward to it. I'm going to DM Nikki as soon as we close here.
There you go.
Mhm.
And we'll be happy. I think
Don't
she,
put me after Jose again. That was horrible, Reverend Dr.
well,
Marianne.
here's the is it's Jose, and then it's you, and then it's Michael Faber, who will be coming on shortly, and then right after Michael is Spencer Jones.
Mhm.
Jules at the end, and then it's back to me and Nikki, and we'll be talking about bank code just briefly. And why not? You're an awesome speaker.
Mhm.
You're an awesome energy. You are a powerhouse. Since the first day I met you, which was when, like last year sometime, not even this
Yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah.
And look at all the, like, she takes care of not just her, not only did she have surgery, which was so intense, and she has two boys, but she takes care of her mom, which I don't even know if you mentioned. I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah. And
Yeah, she takes care of her mom.
that's just prioritizing what's important to you, and it's just crazy because that's why I said for me it really was authentic leadership wasn't just from a business perspective, it's just from how you run your household, and the respect that I have now for my mother is 100-fold from when I was a child now that I'm a mother myself.
Right. And we're in that age now, in that group where we're taking care of the parents,
Hmm.
the kids. Now I don't have kids. I have a dog, but I have to
They're kids. I have a dog too.
they are kids. So I have one, you have three, I guess, right? Because you've got the two kids and the dog. I had both my parents, but they both had dementia, and there's no way that one person could take care of them. I mean, they need both to end up in a nursing home, which, it was good because I knew that they would be taken care of. I mean, there was no way that I could take off work and take care of them. And, why not put them in with the professionals? And then I got to go there every day, which was great. right? I would just, at the time I was working, so I would just come straight from work. I would stop off and I would, go visit and then I would go home and it was good. I got everything done and I missed them, right? Like
You. And I know that that's hard. And I think we talked about that earlier.
it did.
I think was it Sifu? His wife's mother had passed away.
Yeah.
And so, those are always hard moments. But I think another part of just being authentic is realizing, as I said, this is what's important to me right now that I must take care of, and being confident in making those decisions because that's authentic to you right now as a leader for your family that you
It,
made those choices.
and sometimes you have to be the leader of yourself. You can't just rely on what other people say or do. You have to figure out what's important. And, my father was extremely abusive, basically my entire life until the last 3 years of his life. And that was maybe, so what am I now? 62. I'm going to be 63. So basically for 60 years almost. Um, and no, wait, he passed away a few years, like I want to say about 4 years ago, my dad passed away. My mom passed away before that. She was like, now it's coming up to 11 years for her. Yeah, oh, here comes Michael. And yeah, very difficult, very difficult to make that decision. But, some of my friends are like, oh, my mom. And I said, no, you know what? You have her and we don't know how long you have her for, right? That's the whole thing is we don't know how long we have them for. So do what you can, you know. I mean,
Mhm.
it did take over my personal life because it was work, nursing home, and late at night home. You know, I'm the only child. If I didn't go visit my parents, then who's going to? And
Right.
most of the time they didn't even know who I was. I remember I owned a spa at the time and I had clients of mine that would say, wow, that's really amazing that you're going to see your mom and she doesn't even know who you are. And I said, but she is.
You know, right? You know.
I know who she is, and I think they feel the energy, even if they're not
I do too.
um with my dad, his was different. His was a little more confusion. He would say, like the nurses would come to me and they'd say, do you have a sister? And I said, no. Like, yeah, we've never seen your sister, and we couldn't figure out who your dad was talking about. And he said his 17-year-old daughter. And I said, oh, thanks, Dad. That's the best thing you've ever. And I was probably 7 at the time, And I'm like, yeah, give or take 40 years. It was great. But, you got to do what you got to do
Yeah,
because when they're gone, they're gone. You can't go back to
absolutely.
that, right?
And
Can't
you get to live now, Reverend Dr. Marianne, with no regrets, right?
Oh, and you know what? It's there's a different kind of peace that happens. I look at we're always gonna miss them. There is no good time for them to leave. But
Right.
I was blessed. I got to be by my mom's side and I got to be by my dad's side. And I said goodbye to both of them with nothing. Like there was like no issues with anyone. So anyways, thank you so much, honey. Thank you for coming.
Blessing to be here always. Thanks for sharing your platform.
Thank you. And thank you for listening to the whole thing because I've
It's
seen you
amazing all day.
and they're making the comments and stuff. It is good, isn't it? I love doing this. This is my favorite thing to do I think out of everything I do, although I get excited about everything. I get excited about a good book, I get excited about all kinds of really, yeah, see Nikki Nails. I'm like, oh my God, he's done. Oh my God, for this summit. Oh, we're gonna do this now. Oh, this is so awesome. You gotta love what you do or forget it, right?
Absolutely. Being authentically you. So thank you so much.
You're so beautiful. Thank you so, so much.